Hey, all you curious cats and dogs out there, we are answering more random anonymous questions. Favorite hero from Marvel and favorite hero from DC. Oh, this is tough because I'm actually, this is a weird thing. I like comics and not necessarily the heroes in the comics. So, for example, I love Miss Marvel, but I don't necessarily like Miss Marvel herself that much. Sorry, my chair is like really loud. I guess I could say Hellcat right now for Marvel. I do like her personality. Growing up, man, if we can count the cartoons, maybe it's different. I don't like heroes. Maybe that's the problem. I like anti-heroes, like Black Cat and Catwoman and Poison Ivy and Harley. I'm not as much into the heroes. A lot of times they're kind of either sanctimonious or too serious or annoyingly stupid if they're younger. Like, yeah, I can't really say. If we're talking about the movies, then I really love Thor in the movies. I think he's hilarious, but I didn't like Thor in his comic at all when I was younger. And DC movies, nobody. I don't like any of them right now. Maybe that'll change with Aquaman because he just looks like DC Thor at the moment. Yeah, when I read comics though, I'm way more into other stuff. So like Wicked and Divine or Saga or Monstrous, those are more my speed for comics. How do adults make friends? This is a very good question because it's hard. A lot of people don't talk about this. Like when you're growing up and you're in school and you're in classes and you're in clubs or in sports teams, it's very easy to make friends, or even just your neighborhood. There are other kids that live there and they're playing outside and you can walk up to them and play with them. As an adult, not as easy to do. I can't just walk up to my neighbor walking dog and be like, hey, you like dogs, huh? They're going to think I'm a weirdo. They might actually be cool with it because it's LA, but it's still just like, it's difficult. So I recommend going to meetups, events, geeky things if you're a geek, whatever you like, whether it's anime or video games or comics or whatever. Go to meetup.com, look on Facebook, look around and find events that will have this people who like the same thing you like there. And go to those events. Get a drink if you need a little help and talk to people. Or if you don't drink, get a ginger ale, pretend it's a drink, tell yourself that you're drunk and talk to people. It's really one of the only ways if you want to do in person. If you don't care about it being in person, go on World of Warcraft or Elder Scrolls Online or hop in some forums based on the things that you like and just start talking to people. I think Twitter is a great way to make friends. I would say the majority of my hair looks shitty right now. The majority of my friends right now are from Twitter. I just started talking to somebody who seemed really cool and they liked me too. Wow, no, like really my hair is bad right now. Don't look at my hair while I answer these questions. How do you feel about people of color, the platform, who do not speak up about or issues people of color face? They want us to support their work, but they don't support us. I agree with you completely. But on the other hand, I also understand that those people of color have to work really hard to get where they are. And a lot of times, if you are the least bit uppity, people don't want to work with you. They'll say it's not because of your race, it's just that you've got a bad attitude. That's what they like to say to people. So on the one hand, I understand this, like, well, I don't want to ruin my own self. I mean, look what happened to Colin Kaepernick. I've never tried to say his name out loud. Is it Kaepernick or Kaepernick? All he did was not stand during the thing to talk about something that really is happening. And look at all the shit he's had to go through for speaking up. Now, can you imagine if you were in that position and you were somebody who could speak up? Would you? Would you risk all that hate and vitriol being thrown at you every day when you didn't have to? I don't know. I don't know how much of a hero I am. So anyway, I think it's a complicated issue. I do wish they'd speak up. I think that there are plenty of people of color who have, with the platform, who have shown that there are ways to speak up that don't bother people as much, and it's sad we have to do that shit. But at the very least, do that. You know, it's just very frustrating. And most frustrating of all is the fact that if we all stood together, we would be harder to ignore or to separate and treat poorly. You know, like if every single black actor at the same time said Black Lives Matter, what could Hollywood do? Would they seriously fire all the black actors or not hire any of the black actors? I don't necessarily think they could have the strength to do that. So, I don't know. But you can never really get people to all agree and work together. Current shows, anime, cartoons you're watching. I'm watching Gundam Wing Iron-Blooded Orphan. I am watching Attack on Titan. I think we're season 2. What else am I watching? Random stuff. There's what's it called? My Hero Academia, Samurai Jack, which I am loving. Yeah, I think those are the main ones I'm watching right now. I'm not really watching a lot. Wrestling takes up too much time. How did you decide to name Bailey? Bailey is cream colored with red tips and green eyes, so he looked Irish to me. So I was gonna name him some cool shit like Shaladar from a fantasy book, and I looked at this dumb little kitten and I was like, no, you've got a cute, you're Bailey. That's your name. So he's named after Bailey's Irish Cream. Who is the sexiest famous man and woman in your opinion? It changes all the time. But for a long time for me, it was Keith Hamilton Cobb for the men. He played Tyr Anasazi in Andromeda, and I wanted to lick him up and down. And then it was Prince, but now Prince is dead. Jeez, who's the sexiest one? And it also depends on their role. Like, when Tom Hiddleston is just walking down the street being Tom Hiddleston, I'm not attracted to him. But when Tom Hiddleston is Loki, I would literally do anything he told me to get with him. So, it changes. Chris Pratt, when he's being funny, I'm attracted to. Michael B. Jordan, I'm only attracted to in Creed. When he picks her up, when they're talking, I was just like, oh, my puss is so wet. Vin Diesel in Triple X, when in the club scene. So, yeah, it changes all the time. Maybe Dwayne Johnson is probably a constant. I'll say that. The Rock is always sexy. For women, I don't know. There's a lot of hot women. Top 3 things that enrage you. So much enrages me. I could never say that there are 3 things that enrage me more than anything else. At least I can't quantify what order they're in. But I'll tell you 3 things. Lying. Lying is a big, big, big pet peeve of mine. I hate liars. I don't get the fucking point in lying. As you can see, I never lie. Why do you need to lie? Man the fuck up and tell me the truth. Let's see. Not liking me, but pretending to like me, I guess falls under lying. 3 things that enrage you. Injustice, people not being kind to one another, or unfair things happening and there being nothing that can be done about it. And when people hire me as an expert and then don't believe anything that I tell them as an expert, that one's really frustrating. I'm from Maryland. The DMV is so boring. Any tips to moving to LA? Save up $2,000 and then come out here and go to a bunch of networking events till you find a job, or find a job before moving out here. Much harder to find a job before moving out here if your resume does not have a Los Angeles address on it. This is a little trick for you. They ask you your address. As long as mail can go to the address you listed, you don't really have to tell them your address. Give an address of the city that the job you want is in. Unless their job listing says willing to pay for moving expenses, blah, blah, blah. Like if it's a higher level job, like an executive or a top manager, and they want to help pay for you to move there, cool. But generally, they don't want to pay for moving anybody. So unless your resume is legit, and a lot of us it isn't. Okay, guys, that was Curious Cat Me. Ask me more questions on curiouscat.me/Sarah the Rebel. And also, I want to do a few other vlogs soon, so you'll see some interesting events. Also got some really good news on the wrestling front, so I may be back to wrestling even sooner than I imagined. Anyway, I'll give you all those updates and more on the next vlog. Be sure to go to my patreon.com/Sarah the Rebel and give me $1 a month. That's it. And you get to read all my short stories. It's really worth it. And watch me on Ready to Ramble and Women Wrestling Friends. And I was just on Fox Sports' Wrestling Compadres podcast, so go give that a listen. Okay, guys. Bye.